Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video we are going to be crocheting this very beautiful houndstooth tank top. So if you're interested, just stay tuned. The first thing we'll be needing are materials. I'm using two contrasting colors of yarn and also a 4.5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a measuring tape, and then you would also need a darning needle and some stitch markers. So as usual, we're going to make a slip knot to start our work. So grab your yarn, your first color, and make a slip knot. Grab your 4.5mm hook, insert it into your slip knot and adjust it to fit the hook. And now we are going to make chains, and to make your chain all you have to do is yarn over and pull through the loop. Yarn over and pull through the loop. So this chain that you are making is going to be long enough to fit the width of your body. So make sure that prior to this you've taken measurements for your bust or the widest part of your body, because this chain is going to be long enough to wrap around your body. So I'm making this for myself, a size medium, and my measurement is 36 inches. Okay, so my bust, which is the measurement I'm using, is 36 inches. So I'm going to make a chain that is 36 inches, and mine came up to 145 chains. Okay, so I'm chaining 145. Actually it's 144 chains, but I added one extra as my turning chain. Make sure that the number of your stitches is an even number before you add your turning chain. Okay, now that I've completed my chains, I'm going to skip one stitch and then make one single crochet into the second chain from the hook. I'm sure you guys know how to make a single crochet. Hopefully you're not a beginner crocheter. So what you just do is you insert your hook into the stitch, you pull up a loop, and you yarn over and pull through the two loops that are on your hook. So insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both loops on the hook. That's how you make a single crochet. And as you can see here, I'm going to keep making single crochets into all my stitches until the end of this row. So this is our row 1 for our tank top, and just single crochets into 144 stitches until the end of your work. Don't forget, you should have an even number of stitches at the end of your work, and you'll see the reason for this later on. So I have finished my first row of single crochets here, and now for my second row, it's quite simple. Chain 1 and turn your work. Insert your hook into the very first stitch and make a single crochet. Into the next stitch, make a single crochet. The third, a single crochet. The fourth, a single crochet. So for row 2 and row 3, we're going to repeat the same thing. One single crochet into all the stitches without skipping a single one. Okay, so I'm going to be back when I'm done with my row 3 to show you what to do next. So now I'm done with my 3 rows, my first 3 rows, and now we are going to be attaching our second color. And to do that, you want to take out your last single crochet, because it's on that last stitch that we'll be attaching our next color. So what you want to do is to first insert your hook into that stitch and pull up a loop like you normally do your single crochet, but do not complete the stitch with your original color. but grab the second color and use it to complete that single crochet, just like that. And then I just like to make a single knot with the tail of my new color and the working yarn from the previous color to secure the yarn at the end. Now grab that new color that we just attached and make one chain to start row 4. Turn your work and then make sure that you are carrying along with you your first color. Okay, we are going to carry along with us our first color. In your first stitch, make a single crochet, and then in the next stitch, make a double crochet, and in the next stitch, make a single crochet. In the following stitch, make a double crochet, followed again by a single crochet. And if you do not know how to make a double crochet, it's quite simple. All you have to do is yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops again. The stitch is quite longer than a single crochet. So for row 4, you just want to keep alternating between single crochets and double crochets until the end of the row. And don't forget to carry along with you your first color, because we'll be changing colors at the end of the row. So I'm at the end of my row 4 now, and as you can see here, I have not worked into that last stitch. So that last stitch is going to be a double crochet. So yarn over and make your last stitch your double crochet, but we are not going to complete the double crochet like we normally do. When we have 2 loops left on our hook, we are going to use our first color, which is the blue in my case, to complete the stitch. So drop that one, pick the blue color and pull through, and that way you've completed your row. Now for row 5, what you want to do is to chain 1 and turn your work. In the first stitch, we are going to make a single crochet, and this is going to be the same for every row. Your first stitch will always be a single crochet, and as you work, you'll notice that your last stitch would always be a double crochet. So that first stitch goes into a double crochet, but you make a single crochet there, and your next stitch should be a single crochet. So on top of that single crochet, you're going to make a double crochet, followed by a single crochet, then a double crochet. So this is how you work the houndstooth stitch. Wherever you see a single crochet, you work a double crochet on top of it, and wherever you see a double crochet, you work a single crochet on top of it, and you keep alternating between single crochets and double crochets until the end of the row. Don't forget, you always start with a single crochet and you always end with a double crochet. By the way, I have a detailed tutorial on how to work the double crochet and how to decrease and how to increase with the stitch. I would leave a link in the cards and also a link in the description box if you would like to check that. Continue working the houndstooth pattern until you have 34 rows, and don't forget, at the end of each row you change color to the previous color. This 34 rows is the length of my tank top from the bottom to the armholes. When you have your 34 rows all done, it's time to work on the armhole shaping. So if you want your tank top to be shorter, you can make less amount of rows, and if you want your tank top to be longer, you make more rows. Just make sure you measure yourself to ensure that you're making the correct size for yourself. Count 36 stitches from both sides of the work and mark the 37th stitch. In between each stitch marker, there will be 72 stitches. This is something that you would have to adjust if you're making for a smaller or for a larger size. but what you've just marked are the two sides of your vest, while the seam would be at the back. So we are going to walk from one stitch marker to the other. Now, from the first stitch marker, count 5 stitches. That stitch marker is your first stitch. So count 5 stitches beginning at the stitch marker and insert your hook into the 6th stitch and attach your yarn. So we are going to work the houndstooth pattern, and remember that when you have a single crochet, you work a double crochet, and where you have a double crochet, you work a single crochet. So I've just inserted my hook now and made 1 chain, and since I have a single crochet there, I'm going to make a double crochet there, and inside my next stitch would be a single crochet. And followed by a double crochet, followed by a single crochet. So just continue working the houndstooth pattern until you get to 5 stitches before the stitch marker on the other side. If you're following this pattern, at the end of this row 35, you should end up with 62 stitches. So now I've come to the end now, and my last stitch is a single crochet. I won't complete that last stitch. I would change color to my second color. And complete my stitch with the new color and make a knot. Now simply chain 1 and turn your work. Now we are going to do a decrease in the first 2 stitches, since we are decreasing for our armholes. Now there's something called a houndstooth decrease, but if you do not know how to work a houndstooth decrease, you can just do a regular single crochet decrease and continue working your houndstooth pattern. But I have a detailed tutorial on how to decrease with the houndstooth stitch. I will leave a link in the cards if you would like to check that out. So I'm just doing my regular decrease here. Decrease into the first 2 stitches. And then check the next stitch that you have in your previous row so that you can determine what stitch you are to work next. I always like to mark my first decrease stitch so that I can easily identify it when I come back. Now the third stitch there is a single crochet, so I'm going to be working a double crochet on top of that. Just like that, followed by a single crochet, then a double crochet, and just continue alternating between single crochet and double crochets. Just continue working the houndstooth pattern until you have 2 stitches left in the row, and then you make another decrease. I'm on the last 2 stitches here, and I'm going to make a decrease into those 2 stitches by yarning over and then inserting my hook into this first stitch and pull up a loop, and yarn over and close the first 2 loops, and then just insert my hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop. I would have 3 loops, yarn over and close all 3, but instead of completing with the first color, I'll change to the previous color to complete it, just like that. Now chain 1 and turn your work. And just like we did for the previous row, into those first 2 stitches we are going to make a decrease. So make a decrease into your first 2 stitches. And now go into the next stitch and make a single crochet, since there's a double crochet below, followed by a double crochet and then a single crochet. And then the same thing goes for this row. When you get to the end, you make a decrease. So we are going to continue making decreases on both sides until we get to row 40. At the end of row 40, you should have 52 stitches at the top of your work. And now we are going to start working on the neck opening. And to do that, you're going to mark some stitches. So count 14 stitches from both sides of your work and put your stitch marker in the 15th stitch. And it's from there we'll start working on our neck opening. Now, starting on the left side of the work, I've already attached my new color here. As you can see, I'm going to start working on the neck opening for this first side. So row 41 is going to be, you chain 1 and then you turn your work. And in those first 2 stitches, we are going to do a decrease. So make your houndstooth decrease into the first 2 stitches of your work. I like to mark my stitches so that I can easily identify them when I'm walking in the opposite direction. And now we're just going to continue to work the houndstooth pattern into all the stitches until we have 10 stitches. So in the next 10 stitches would be just the regular houndstooth pattern, and then you'll be left with 2 stitches at the end, which we are also going to do a decrease into those 2 stitches. And those 2 stitches will be the last 2 stitches before the stitch marker. So in total, we are working into 14 stitches on one side of the neck. So I have 2 stitches left here before my stitch marker, and it is into those 2 stitches I'm going to do the decrease. But don't forget to change color at the end of that row. So I'm just doing that again since I forgot to change color here. So now moving on to row 42 with the second color, we're just going to chain 1 as usual and then turn your work. And then just like we did for the previous row, we're going to do a decrease into the first 2 stitches. So go ahead and do your decrease, followed by the regular houndstooth pattern into the remaining stitches until we get again to the last 2 stitches. And in the last 2 stitches, we would work another decrease. So here I am doing my decrease, and don't forget, once you're finishing that row, you change color to your previous color. And so rows 43, 44, 45 so rows 43, 44, 45 and 46 are basically the same thing. You're just going to continue to decrease on both sides until you have 2 stitches remaining. So at the end of row 46, you have 2 stitches remaining, and yeah, I'll be back to show you what to do. Okay, so I'm at row 45 here, and I just want you to notice clearly that I've cut the color, the yarn of the previous row, and that's because at row 45 is where I stopped changing color. So at row 45 I'm working with my blue color, and this is going to be the color of my strap. So I just stopped changing colors here, and then I work my row 46, which is just 2 decreases into the 4 stitches that are there, and then I just continue to work my strap, which is just single crochet into the 2 stitches that are left. So this is I'm doing my decrease here for my row 46. I decrease into the first 2 stitches. I'll repeat that for the remaining 2 stitches. And now to start working on the strap, all you have to do is just chain 1, turn your work, and then work 1 single crochet into the 2 stitches. And this is what I'm going to repeat until I get to row 85, or until you are satisfied with the length of the strap. Alright, so I'm done with my strap here for the first side, and I'm going to walk you through how to work on the other side. It's not exactly the same thing, but before that, I want to state that try not to make your strap too long because it might be a little bit stretchy. So yeah, I made 85 rows, and which turned out to be about 9 inches for my strap. Yeah, so now to work on the other side, we started on the right side when we started the first strap, but on this side we're not going to start from there. We are going to actually start from the inside. So the stitch that is next to that stitch marker inside, you're just going to insert your hook there, and that's where we are going to change color. So insert your hook there and attach your new color, and we're going to start making our decreases from that very stitch. So into those first 2 stitches, go ahead and make a decrease, your houndstooth decrease, or just a regular single crochet decrease would be fine. Make your decrease, and then we're just going to continue working the houndstooth pattern into the next 10 stitches until we get to the last 2 stitches again. So I'm just putting a stitch marker here so that I can easily identify my stitch when I'm working back. So I'm going to continue making my houndstooth pattern. That is, wherever I see a double crochet, I'll make a single crochet, and wherever I see a single crochet, I'll make a double crochet on top of it. And then once I'm at the last 2 stitches, I would make another decrease. So just like we did for the first strap, it's the same thing we are doing in this case. Just keep making decreases on both sides until we get to our row 45, where we stop changing colors. When we have 2 stitches left, we just start working single crochet into both stitches to create the strap. So I'm just going to speed up this portion, and then I'll be back to tell you guys the next thing to do. So I have finished both straps here, as you can see, and the next thing we want to do is just to sew our pieces together and work on our finishing. That's finishing our edges together. So the first thing I want you guys to notice is that the front and the back of this vest do not look exactly the same. So here you can see that this front, the blue is more obvious, and while the back, the cream color, the peach color rather, is more obvious. So at this point, all you want to just do is to choose the part that you would like to make the outside of your top, okay, and or the inside of your top. So I prefer the part where the blue, the cream or the peach is more obvious. Since my blues, I'm going to use the blue color for my lining and all. So I'm just going to fold the right sides together and then sew together, sew the back seam together. And to do that, I'm just going to make single crochets I'm going to insert my hook into the stitches and then insert my working yarn and then make single crochets working around the two pieces. So that's how I'm going to seam this back seam together. So after sewing the back seam together, the next step is quite straightforward. All you want to do is to grab your strap, straighten it and align it to the back of your work. And here I left a long tail when I finished working on the strap, so with that long tail I will be sewing it to the back of the work. You just have to make sure that it is perfectly straight before you start sewing. You could first mark it, pin it down with a stitch marker, and then insert your darning needle and start sewing together to the back, and make sure you sew it tight. So the straps are all attached, and now what you want to do is to just grab your work and flip it to the right side. And now we are going to work on the edging. So we are going to work all around the neck portion, going from the front to the sleeves and then to the back and then back to the sleeves again. And then we are also going to work around the holes, the armholes of the straps. So to do that, I'm just going to excuse me. To do that, I'm going to insert my hook and then attach my yarn at any point. You can attach at any point and then chain one. And then into all the stitches, starting with that first stitch, I'm going to make a single crochet. A single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the third, single crochet into all the stitches. And I actually did 2 rounds of single crochet around the neck portion, and this just helps your work to be firm and to be neat, to appear neat around the neck, around the sleeves. And then I also repeated the same thing around the armholes. So I attached my yarn there, and then I did also 2 rounds of single crochet around the armholes. So this is my finished piece where I've worked around my neck and I've also worked around the armholes. I did 2 rows of single crochets around the neck and just 1 row of single crochet around the armholes. And I also attached a drawstring to the bottom just to give it some style and make it look nice when you put it on. This is very optional. I just decided to add this one to my own. So just do what you will. This is the finished top from me. Thank you guys for watching. If you watched till the end, give this video a thumbs up and I'll see you in the next one.